What is going on, guys? Welcome back to the channel. So in today's Motorfest video, I once again want to start this one off with another question, which is at this point probably going to be many of the videos because I know I'm not the only one asking them. But for this one though, guys, what if Motorfest kept the Crew 2's map? Would it actually work? Now the reason why I do ask this though is a lot of players most likely love the Crew 2's map because, it's for one massive, and a lot of players aren't the biggest fan of Motorfest map because it's a lot smaller. Now, a few things we do know, no. Now, a few things that can be confirmed right now is we do know this is going to be the island of Oahu, which is actually the third biggest island here in Hawaii. The second one's actually going to be Maui, then apparently the other one's Hawaii with like the apostrophe on the I, otherwise known as the Big Island. That one's way bigger than Oahu. So it does make me ask the question, could they add something like that into the game? Is that going to be the next biggest island in the game? Probably not. But here's the thing about that though, that doesn't mean they can't go add some type of big island somewhere else on the map that you can travel to that's going to be like the big island in Hawaii, or something like Maui or something like that. So they could add something to the map like that. Like, just because you don't see the entire like island part on the map doesn't mean it's not going to be in the game. They could always add something to it, or even, add an entire new area to the game that's an entire new island that's bigger than Oahu. Who knows? It's possible. I could also be a bit insane right now with that. Like, that's probably not going to happen. And then on the right side of the map over here, you guys can also see another small island, which is indeed going to be smaller than Oahu, at least the version of the one in Motorfest is. This island can clearly be seen as being smaller than this one. So if they were to add this island and the other island on the top left of the map, it's still going to be a lot smaller than something like the Crew 2, which honestly isn't a great comparison. That map really is going to be insanely massive. And who knows, maybe they might add an even bigger island to the game that you don't see at the moment. That would probably add on to like a lot of new events and all kinds of new stuff in the game. Who knows, maybe we might even see some new disciplines or returning disciplines into the game. It's possible, at least I guess we can kind of dream about it. Now, one of the main reasons why I keep mentioning this, though, is I do feel like even to this day, a lot of players really did love the Crew 2 map because obviously it was massive. So my big question is, though, if they would have made Motorfest with the exact same map of the Crew 2 or like even the Crew 1, and they basically like upgraded the graphics again, maybe added all of the current cars that we have in Motorfest into the Crew 3, or like, the Crew Motorfest being a new game that's the same map as the Crew 2. Would you guys actually like to see this game, but being on the same map as the Crew 2? Like, would a lot of players get tired of that? I was thinking about this a bit. Like, we were basically playing on that Crew 2 map for, what was it, like 9 years? And one of the big reasons why I was thinking about it like this is, yes, the game was on that map for 9 years. It is most likely going to have two different sides to it. Number one here is a lot of players are like, nah, bro, I love the Crew 2 map. It's great for cruising. I really enjoy it. Just use that map in the Crew Motorfest, or we should have stayed on that map. Why do you guys make a new one? The other side of that is going to be the people that were like, man, we've been playing on this map for this long. We probably need a new map to mess around on. Players aren't going to want to keep playing on this one. Why don't you guys make a new map, like maybe go to Hawaii or something? Which is funny because that was mentioned a long time ago, and it does turn out they ended up doing that, even though a lot of players were most likely expecting more out of the map here because it is the map of Hawaii, or, Oahu, where they could actually add like bigger islands and stuff to it in the future. Is that going to happen? I guess time will only tell on that. But here's the thing about that though, I would say a lot of people are most likely going to side with both of them. For one, you're probably going to look at the Crew 2 map and go, man, I really enjoyed playing on this one. The amount of events, the amount of things they actually could add on a map this size is going to be insane. Which, guys, I hate to admit it, but we can also say this. That map is going to be much bigger, which in returns adds one big thing to it. They can add a lot more updates to it, and also a lot more different types of updates, because there is so many different places around the map. For example, the different like US Speed Tour events. We also had like the taxi events, which I really enjoyed those. On top of that, we also had the stories. If they were to add all kinds of stuff like that into the map of Oahu, it would most likely be a lot more difficult because the map is obviously smaller, so they're probably going to have a lot more issues doing a story type of DLC on it, because you are most likely going to keep going to the exact same places over and over, or you're probably going to go to like the taxi thing and be like, okay, so I go on this road again. Down the street, they'll probably have another one because the map is a lot smaller than that one. Whereas something like the Crew 2, you obviously have like Florida, New York, Nevada, California. Each one can have different types of like taxi events everywhere. There's an entirely huge area of different places they can do the stories on, whether it's going to be a weird mountain in the Midwest or heading all the way down in like Texas or something like that, or like Arizona. There is going to be a lot more places to explore and go after different things like a story update. Or who knows, maybe you're driving around and you're like, wait a second, there's a taxi thing right here, let me go mess around with it. So for me, I would say that's the biggest thing about having a bigger map is they really can do a lot more stuff with that said map. Whereas if the map is smaller, there really only is a limit they can do to it. Whereas if they were to add like different islands to the game or like different places, then that way you could actually have a couple of different areas to where they could add all kinds of different updates to it. To where you might actually see something like these stories or even like the taxi update. Who knows, maybe a USS Speed Tour update. For example, guys, if they were to add a USS Speed Tour update into the current map of Oahu, would that honestly work? Would they actually have like floating racetracks around the map, or would they add some random racetracks in certain areas? I just feel like the map wouldn't work for some stuff like that. Now, the one thing I do want to say though, let's say they did end up releasing the Crew Motorfest and it was going to be the exact same map as the Crew 2, except the graphics were going to be updated, they changed a few things about it. Would I actually be happy about that? To be honest, I wouldn't mind it. I do know a lot of players, as I mentioned before, might be a bit tired of the Crew 2 with that map and stuff, but at the same time, guys, I feel like that map being upgraded with the graphics a bit, having all kinds of new cars like the Supra and stuff in there would be absolutely insane. To drive around the entire United States, like that would be the craziest thing ever. I do know a lot of players are kind of saying that the current identity of Motorfest is similar to Forza. Let me know your thoughts on that in the comments. Do you guys actually think the identity of the crew was going to be a bit better being based on the Crew 2's map? Whereas there's pretty much no other game that's going to be on the entire United States like that. So it was probably going to make it insanely unique. Also, I would actually say the next crew game could be back on that map, guys. Not going to lie. That probably sounds really insane even saying that in any way possible. Can you guys imagine the next crew installment is going to be back on that regular Crew 2 map? That would be pretty dope. Even though on the same side of that, if we were to see another crew game coming out in like 3 years, if they were to do something with the exact same map in the Crew 2, that would probably not go very well with the player base, I would probably guess. For the most part though, guys, let me know your thoughts on this in the comments below. I can honestly keep ranting about this for probably like another 20 minutes, but it has been something I have been thinking about a bit recently. Even like 5 months ago when Motorfest was out and like players were jumping into it, I was even asking myself back then, I was like, what if Motorfest would have stayed on the Crew 2's map? Like, would that have worked? And then on the same side of that, though, I was like, well, you know what? Maybe a lot of players might be tired of that Crew 2 map. Maybe it's good they made a new map. And it does turn out there's going to be a lot of players on basically both sides of that fence. Once again, guys, let me know your thoughts in the comments below. And I guess the biggest thing here is hopefully this map is going to work in the future.